My parents forced my sister to wear a wedding dress at my wedding to steal my spotlight, so I gave them a shocking revenge that left them terrified. I, 27 female, have a younger sister, Hannah, 26 female, and my relationship with her has always been kind of fake on the surface and tense underneath. Like we never screamed at each other or had huge fights, but there was always this quiet competition going on, except I didn't sign up for it. She was the kind of sister who'd hug me in front of people, then make snide little comments the second we were alone. Stuff like, "Oh, you're wearing that?" Or "You're lucky mom and dad don't expect much from you." Growing up, she always had to be the center of attention. And my parents just fed into it. They treated her like she was this magical gift to the world. And I was just, I don't know, the extra kid who was there to clap for her. So no, we weren't close. I tolerated her, but I never trusted her. Like growing up, she was always the one my parents doted on. She was into theater and dance and those kinds of things that involved clapping and praise and sparkly costumes. And my mom was obsessed. If she got a role in a school play, my parents would call every relative they had to brag about it. When she got her driver's license, they surprised her with a car. Meanwhile, I was the kid who got straight A's and quietly filled out college applications by myself in the living room. I've kind of gotten used to it over the years. I figured whatever, not every family is perfect, right? At least I had my own thing going. I worked hard, made my own money, got my own apartment, and eventually met Matt, who is now my husband. We've been together for 4 years, and honestly, he's the best person I've ever known. He's chill, funny, incredibly supportive, and not afraid to call stuff out when something's not right, which, as it turns out, was extremely important. Matt proposed last year in this really sweet, quiet way. Nothing flashy. We were on a walk. He just kind of stopped and said he couldn't imagine not being with me for the rest of his life. It was exactly my style. We decided we wanted a small wedding. Nothing huge or over the top. Just something meaningful with people we cared about. A garden ceremony, a simple reception, good food, nice music, that sort of thing. So, we go to dinner at my parents' place to share the news and kind of float our wedding ideas. It's me, Matt, my mom, dad, and Hannah. We tell them about the venue. My mom blinks like we said we were getting married in a McDonald's parking lot. She goes, "Outdoors? Are you sure? That sounds muddy." My dad says, "What if it rains?" Matt's like, "The venue has a canopy option if that happens." It's actually really well set up. Hannah sips her wine. They always serve her wine, even though I swear she's like permanently 18 in their eyes. And goes, I pictured something more elegant, like that lakeside ballroom where Brianna got married last summer. I say, that place was $25,000 just for the venue, though. We want something a little more low-key. My mom frowns. "Well, it's your wedding, but people expect a certain standard, you know." I shrug it off. Whatever. Everyone has opinions. We move on. Then I say I was thinking of wearing a long-sleeved lace dress, kind of minimalist with a lower back and no glitter or rhinestones. Instantly, my mom goes, "Oh, no sparkle. Are you sure that won't look too plain?" And Hannah jumps in with, "You could totally pull off something more dramatic, like a full train in sequins. You want to be remembered, right?" Matt is holding my hand under the table. I'm gripping his fingers hard at this point. I try to change the subject to food. We wanted a taco bar or something fun and interactive. Immediately, my dad says, "Tacos at a wedding?" My mom, "People will be wearing nice clothes." Hannah, I guess you could do that if you're going for like a quirky thing." I take a deep breath and go, "Okay, what do you guys think is appropriate?" And right away, my mom launches into this whole idea of classic sophistication with white roses, plated steak and salmon meals, champagne toast, even though I don't drink. A choreographed first dance and a string quartet. Basically the exact opposite of what Matt and I want. Then she says, "And imagine how lovely it would be if Hannah walked down the aisle first in a white dress, something flowing and soft. It would be so symbolic of your bond as sisters." Record scratch moment. I blink. "Wait, what?" She repeats it like it's the most normal suggestion in the world. "Just picture it. Hannah walks in first, then you follow. It's emotional. It's meaningful, and people will never forget it." Matt and I both just stare. I ask, "You mean like as a bridesmaid?" She waves her hand. "Not exactly, more like a dual entrance. You're both my daughters. It's like family unity." Hannah is smiling like she's already bought the dress. She goes, "I've always imagined doing something like that with you. I think it would be really powerful." I laugh, kind of hoping it's a joke. "You want to walk down the aisle before me in a white dress at my wedding?" My mom, "Not exactly like yours, just similar. Yours would still be the main one." My dad's nodding like this all makes sense. Matt and I shut it down immediately. Like, not in a rude way, just firm. I told them straight up, no, that's not happening. It's our wedding. There's no reason for Hannah to walk down the aisle in a white dress. Unless she's the one getting married. Hannah pouts. My mom gets this disappointed look like I just kicked a puppy. Why not? She's your sister. This is a chance to show love, not compete. Compete? I say, because it's our wedding, mine and Matt's, and I don't want to share it like that. You'd think that would have been the end of it, but nope. My mom started saying we were missing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And my dad kept bringing up family traditions that literally don't exist. Hannah acted all hurt, like we just rejected a marriage proposal or something. Over the next couple weeks, they kept circling back to it. Every dinner, every phone call, it was the same guilt-trippy nonsense. You'll regret not including your sister. She already ordered her dress. This could be so healing for the family. They even tried going behind our backs to talk to Matt alone and soften him up like he'd betray me and suddenly say yes. They wouldn't take no for an answer. As we were having dinner, I kept ranting, asking Matt if I was crazy for thinking this was all ridiculous. He didn't say much at first. He just kept his eyes on the road and let me vent. Then finally, after like 20 minutes of me spiraling, he goes, let's pretend we're okay with it. I blinked. What? He nodded. Let's say yes. Let them think we're going along with it. I didn't get it. I asked him, are you seriously okay with her walking down the aisle before me like it's her wedding, too? And he goes, no, I'm not okay with it at all, but they're trying to hijack the wedding. If we push back, they'll just dig in harder. If we go along with it, for now, we can get ahead of it, control the timing, the guest list, the money, then we make sure she never even gets near the aisle. And for the first time that day, I felt like I could breathe because that's when I realized something I hadn't been thinking about. Matt wasn't just going to let them walk all over me. He had a plan. I'm not going to lie, I was super nervous. The idea of even pretending to agree with something this stupid made my skin crawl. But Matt was calm the whole time. He said it would be easier to steer things in our direction if they thought we were going along with their nonsense. Like, act chill, act agreeable, and then slowly move the pieces the way we wanted. So, the next time we met up with my parents and Hannah, we told them we'd thought about it and were warming up to the idea. I don't think I've ever seen my mom so smug. She actually clapped her hands like we were on some talk show, and the audience just approved of her speech. Hannah looked real pleased with herself, too. She didn't even try to hide it. The second we said yes, the vibe changed completely. Suddenly, they were all over us with ideas and visions for the day. My mom started looking into huge venues that cost more in one night than I make in 3 months. My dad said he'd take care of the catering. Hannah, of course, started looking at dresses, white ones, like full bridal gowns. And every time I wanted to scream, Matt would grab my hand under the table and give it a little squeeze like, we got this. So yeah, they started pouring money into the wedding. All the stuff they said they couldn't afford when we first got engaged, suddenly no problem. When they thought the wedding was all about me, they barely wanted to chip in for tablecloths. But now that they thought Hannah was going to have her own little bridal moment, open wallets. I asked Matt, how are they not embarrassed? And he goes, they think they're the main characters. That's the whole problem. They've never once asked what you want. So now we use that. Let them spend. Let them plan. Let them throw every dollar at it. We'll let them walk right into it. And I have to admit, once I started looking at it that way, I felt better. Like, okay, fine. You want to act like this wedding is about you and your favorite daughter? Cool. We'll take the cash. We'll take the 5-tier cake and the imported linens and the weird chandelier rentals. And when the day comes, you'll find out it was never about you at all. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't you just cut them off from the wedding? And honestly, I thought about it. But the truth is, I didn't want to fight leading up to the wedding. I didn't want months of tension or family guilt trips or being called ungrateful. I just wanted to marry Matt and have one good day. So, if pretending to go along with their nonsense got me there, fine. I'd play the game. Anyway, back to the planning. My parents were getting way too into it. My mom started emailing vendors behind our backs like she was the bride. I caught her trying to change the flower order from the wildflowers I picked to classic white roses for elegance. And she kept talking to Hannah about the sister procession like it was a thing people do. Matt handled it better than I did. Every time my parents tried to take control, he'd say something like, oh yeah, we love your ideas, but we'll just double check with the coordinator to make sure it fits the timeline. Which really meant, we're not doing that, but thanks anyway. I should probably mention that we secretly hired our own wedding coordinator, someone our parents didn't know about. Her name was Tasha and she was amazing. We told her everything about my family, about the fake sister entrance, about how we wanted to handle it, and she was fully on board. Said she'd seen a lot of family drama in weddings before, but never second bride syndrome. Her words, not mine. Around this time, Matt started playing them even more. He'd call my mom and pretend to be stressed about the wedding timeline, and she'd jump in with money or vendors or whatever she could throw at it. One time he mentioned the food was out of our budget and boom, suddenly we had a Michelin-starred caterer. I'm not even kidding. They were doing all of this thinking they were doing it for Hannah. And Matt just kept saying, let them think it. The weirdest part was that my sister didn't seem to care that she was completely taking over someone else's wedding. Like, I get it. She was always the center of attention. But this was next level. She actually told one of our cousins, it's like we're both getting married that day. We're both not. My sister's getting married and I'm so happy for her. Nope. I didn't even argue anymore. I just smiled and nodded and went home to laugh with Matt about it. At that point, I wasn't nervous anymore. I was excited. Not for the wedding, although obviously that, too, but for the moment. The moment they'd realize it wasn't going down the way they thought. And man, I couldn't wait. By this point, we were deep in it. My parents thought everything was going their way. I honestly think they believed people were going to cry tears of joy seeing me and my sister both walking down the aisle in white dresses like some weird Pinterest fantasy come to life. Meanwhile, Matt and I were basically operating in secret, like spies, but with centerpieces and guest lists. First thing we locked down was the security. That was non-negotiable. We talked to the venue and explained in very calm and professional terms that there might be unwanted disruptions. They recommended a local private security company that handled weddings and events. Nothing shady, no big dudes in earpieces or anything like that. Just a few well-dressed people who looked like regular staff, but were trained to shut down nonsense fast. We gave them photos of Hannah. Yeah, it felt weird to hand someone a picture of your own sister and say, don't let her in if she's wearing white. But I had zero guilt. I'd try to be nice. I tried to explain how weird and inappropriate it all was. They didn't care. They pushed this. So, they were getting the consequences. We also updated our wedding planner. She even helped us set up a decoy timeline. Yeah, we literally made two versions of the wedding timeline. One that went to my parents and one that was the real deal. Their version had fake time slots, adjusted procession orders, even a fake shared entrance moment. They were hyped about it. My mom cried when she saw it. Said, this is going to be the most unforgettable day in family history. Oh yeah, lady. It will. Meanwhile, Hannah had completely gone off the deep end. She wasn't talking to me at all anymore. Just posting cryptic stuff online like big things coming and you're not ready for what I've got planned. Like, okay, are you trying to build suspense for someone else's wedding? I found out through a mutual friend that she booked hair and makeup for herself and I'm of honor look. She actually told people she was also going to have a first look moment with our dad. I don't even know what that means, but it was clear at that point. She wasn't just walking down the aisle. She thought she was a co-bride. One of my cousins even reached out and said, hey, is this going to be a joint wedding or something? Kind of confused. That's how far the delusion was spreading. And again, every time I got close to losing it, Matt would just smile and say, let them dream. It's their favorite thing to do. The best part, the more money they thought they were spending for Hannah, the more lavish stuff we got. My mom pushed for this ridiculously expensive dessert table. Like, I'm talking 12 different mini pastries. Same thing happened with the venue decor. I had originally picked simple greenery and wooden arches, but my parents said it lacked elegance and upgraded it to this floral monstrosity that honestly looked incredible, but cost a fortune. Didn't matter. They were happy to pay if it meant Hannah would get her spotlight moment. And the dress. Oh God, the dress situation. I had already picked my gown months ago. It was elegant but simple, very me. I loved it. But Hannah, she was being super secretive. Wouldn't show me anything. Just kept saying stuff like, I want it to be a surprise. I wasn't even sure she'd gone dress shopping at first, but then she slipped up. Told one of her friends, who thankfully is not terrible, that she got a full-length white gown with a long train and sparkles. Freaking sparkles. That was when I had my little breakdown moment. I remember just sitting on the floor in our apartment, half laughing, half crying, like, is this even real life? And Matt sat down next to me, put his arm around me, and said, babe, she's going to get stopped at the door. She can show up in a wedding costume if she wants. It won't matter. And he was right. We thought of everything. Security was locked in. Our planner had our backs. The vendors knew what was real and what was a distraction. Our guests weren't going to be confused. We'd even quietly let our photographer know not to include Hannah in any of the couple shots or family formals unless we said otherwise, just in case. Honestly, the only thing we didn't prepare for was what came after. Because I think a part of me still believed that maybe, just maybe, Hannah would realize how ridiculous this was and back down. She didn't. But you know what? That made what came next even better. Wedding day finally comes around. To be totally honest, I didn't sleep great the night before. Not 'cause I was nervous about marrying Matt. Nah, that part was easy. I just kept imagining all the different ways my parents and Hannah might try to take over the day. Like, would they show up early and try to rearrange stuff? Would Hannah try to sneak in through a side entrance in her glitter bomb of a dress? Would my mom cry dramatically in front of the guests about how I was being mean to my sister? I was spiraling, but Matt was calm as a rock. He made me breakfast. He put on music. He was doing goofy little dances in the kitchen while flipping pancakes like it was just another chill Sunday morning. He kept saying stuff like, "Today is going to be perfect. Don't even waste your energy on them." And you know what? He was right. I got to the venue early with my bridesmaids. We had a private suite and they were amazing, hyping me up, helping with my hair, keeping things light and happy. One of them even said, "Just think, in like 5 hours you'll be lying on a beach in Greece, not even remembering your sister's name." Iconic. The florist came in and the arrangements were unreal. Like, I actually gasped when I saw the ceremony space. My mom's push for more elegance really did us a favor there. It looked like a fairy tale. Expensive as hell, but gorgeous. Around 11 a.m., I got a text from our planner, Tasha. It said simply, "She's here. Full white gown, veil, trying to come in through the west entrance. Security is on it." I stared at the message for a second, then just said, "Yep, she did it." One of my bridesmaids peeked through the blinds and went, "Is that a tiara?" I didn't even want to look. Meanwhile, Matt was already at the venue on the other side getting ready with his guys. I guess the security team updated him, too. Because I got a text from him that just said, "Called it." Turns out security stopped Hannah and my mom at the entrance. They were very polite, just doing their job. Apparently, Hannah tried to act confused, like she didn't know what they were talking about. She was like, "I am part of the bridal party. I'm the maid of honor. And this isn't even close to her dress." And which is hilarious because it literally was a wedding gown. White, full length, sparkly bodice, long veil. She looked like she was about to get married at Disneyland. My mom jumped in right away, already raising her voice. This was cleared with the groom. He personally said it was fine. My daughter is supposed to walk down the aisle before the bride as part of a special family moment. We were told this was allowed. The security staff didn't even flinch. One of them just said, "I understand, ma'am, but we were given clear instructions by the couple. No exceptions." That's when my mom really lost it. "You people have no idea what you're doing. I am the mother of the bride, and this is my other daughter who was promised a symbolic entrance. This is a mistake. A huge mistake. You need to let us through before you ruin the most important day of our lives." Mind you, guests were starting to show up now, so this wasn't happening in private. My aunt later told me she saw the whole thing from the parking lot and thought it was a performance at first. Security stayed firm. "If you would like to attend the ceremony, you're welcome to change into appropriate guest attire and return through the main entrance. Otherwise, we'll have to ask you to leave the premises." My mom looked like she was about to explode. She turned to Hannah, completely ignoring the staff, and said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "They're doing this on purpose. This is her. She's trying to erase you after everything we did for her." Hannah, bless her, played it cool for like 5 seconds, then cracked. "This is my day, too. I'm not some random guest." She promised. They both did. At that point, my mom started demanding to speak to the head planner and tried to physically walk past the staff like she could just breeze in if she acted confident enough. That's when Tasha stepped in, our coordinator, and she was amazing. She came out totally calm with a copy of the real timeline and access list. She said, "We've double confirmed this with the couple. There is no scheduled alternate entrance or pre-ceremony procession involving either of you. You're not on the approved access list in this capacity. I'm going to have to ask you one last time. Either change and enter as a guest or please leave." And my mom snapped. "This is a damn ambush. She lied to us. He lied to us. They used us and then threw us out like garbage. Don't think the rest of the family won't hear about this." Eventually, after a lot of shouting and threats and throwing words around like legal action, lol, security escorted them away. Not roughly, just calmly walked them to their car and made sure they were off the property. Apparently, as they drove away, Hannah screamed out the window, "You'll regret this. Everyone will know what you did, but like what exactly did we do? Have a wedding where the bride got to walk down the aisle alone like a normal person. Anyway, they were finally gone and the ceremony peaceful, quiet, because while that whole mess was going down outside, I was inside putting on my dress and getting ready to marry the love of my life. I had no idea what Hannah looked like. I didn't hear my mom screaming. I didn't feel the tension or the weirdness. The only thing I felt was relief. When the music started and I walked down the aisle, all I saw were the faces of people who actually cared about us. Friends, real family, people who were there for the right reasons. Matt's face when he saw me. Man, I'll never forget it. He looked like he was trying not to cry and laugh at the same time. I was probably doing the same. The wedding was beautiful. The weather held up. Everyone clapped at the right moments and nobody tried to upstage anything. And when the officiant said, "You may now kiss the bride," I swear I felt 10 years of family stress melt off my shoulders. The reception, absolute blast. Dancing, food, speeches, all of it. My dad didn't show. I guess he was embarrassed or mad or both. My mom texted me some angry stuff later that night, which I ignored. And Hannah, radio silence. I didn't even mention what happened to most of the guests. Some of them noticed they weren't there and asked, but I just said they had a schedule mix-up, which wasn't a lie. Technically, the people who did know the full story, my bridesmaids, Matt's best man, Tasha, and a few cousins, and they were all like, "I can't believe she really tried it." But I could believe it. Of course, she did. Still, it felt weirdly good. Like justice in real time. No yelling, no fights, no dramatic scenes in front of guests. Just a smooth plan followed by a peaceful wedding and me standing there in the dress I picked saying vows I wrote with nobody trying to steal my spotlight. It was perfect. Matt and I left the reception grinning like idiots. We got into the car and the first thing he said was, "Told you it'd be perfect." And then I said, "I hope her dress got wrinkled in the car." So, you'd think after what happened, my mom and sister would just take the L and go home, right? Nah. If anything, they came back harder, but not in the way I expected. First came the dramatic Facebook posts. Then, the truth will come out texts. And then the money. About 3 days after the wedding, I get this long, condescending email from my mom with the subject line, "Let's resolve this like adults." Which already told me it was going to be anything but adult. She wrote this whole thing about how she and my dad felt deceived that the wedding didn't go as they were led to believe and that under those circumstances they were formally requesting reimbursement for what they contributed. She literally listed out everything they paid for line by line. Venue deposit, flowers, catering, photographer, decor, the whole thing. Added it all up at the bottom like it was an invoice. Total requested for return $18,423. I stared at it for like 5 minutes straight. Couldn't tell if I wanted to laugh or scream. She even wrote, "We expect prompt repayment as this was a malicious act of exclusion and emotional harm." Malicious. Like we hadn't warned her over and over that this day wasn't going to include a second bride. I showed Matt. He read it, put his phone down, and just said, "They really thought they were buying your wedding, not contributing, buying." Then he pulled up our own little receipt. Screenshots of emails, messages, group chats, and voice notes where we made it very clear this was our day and that Hannah walking the aisle was never confirmed, not once. Then came the calls. First, my mom, then my dad, then Hannah, crying in the background like she'd been left at the altar. They kept switching tones. My dad went full rage mode 1 second. "You tricked us. We were used." And the next minute, my mom was crying about how humiliating it was to be escorted out of your own daughter's wedding like a criminal. I kept telling them, "You brought this on yourselves. You weren't guests. You tried to hijack the entire day." And then the screaming started. My mom yelled so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. She accused Matt of brainwashing me and said I'd been manipulated into turning my back on family. Then she said something like, "Do you even care that your sister was sobbing in the car in her dress?" I told her flat out. She showed up dressed like a bride to my wedding. Of course, she got turned away. Then my dad tried threatening legal action. Said if we didn't refund them, they'd sue. I told him, "Go ahead, take us to court. Explain to a judge how you tried to orchestrate a second bridal procession and got mad when it got shut down. Let's see how that goes." They went quiet after that for like a week. Then came the messages to our relatives, my mom calling people, telling them Matt and I scammed them out of their savings, saying we pretended to be inclusive and then blindsided them day of. Hannah posted something super vague on Instagram with a black and white photo of her holding a bouquet and the caption, "Some people will do anything to silence the ones who shine." I think I actually sprained my eyeball from rolling it so hard. But the best part, people weren't buying it anymore. Maybe 5 or 6 relatives tried to be neutral, but everyone else, they'd seen the lead up. They saw the dress. They saw the security walk them out. My cousin texted me, "Your sister looked like she was auditioning for Say Yes to the Dress and throwing a tantrum at the same time." Word spread fast, and suddenly my parents weren't victims anymore. They were just the ones who threw money at a wedding, thinking it gave them the right to rewrite the entire thing and got burned for it. So, no, they didn't go quietly. They tried to twist it. They tried to take the money back. They tried to play the wounded martyrs. And for anyone wondering, no, we didn't give them a cent back. Matt and I talked about it for like 2 minutes tops. He was like, "If they sue, we'll countersue for emotional distress." Half joking. Mostly not, but we both knew they wouldn't follow through. They hate embarrassment more than they love control. Going to court would mean explaining everything to a judge, showing the dress, talking about the fake entrance, laying it all out. They'd never risk it, so instead, they just faded. Loud at first, then quiet. Calls stopped. Emails stopped. Even the birthday card my mom usually sends me from the dogs didn't show up this year. Guess I'm disowned again unofficially, and the thing is, I'm okay with that. I don't miss the pressure. I don't miss the weird double standards. I don't miss being told to make room for your sister in every single part of my life like I'm a side character in my own story. The silence, it's peaceful. Matt and I are thriving, honestly. We moved into a new place last month. Nothing fancy, but cozy and ours. We've got this photo from the wedding framed in the living room. Not the big professional one, just a candid someone snapped during the reception. I'm laughing with food in my hand. Matt's got his arm around me and we both look so freaking happy. Like real happy. Not posed for the camera happy. We still joke about it sometimes. I'll be brushing my teeth and randomly go, "Remember when your mom said she was the mother of the bride and the sister of the other bride?" And Matt just shakes his head like top 10 quotes of the year. Or we'll walk past a wedding dress shop and I'll say, "Think they sell symbolic unity gowns in bulk little things." Honestly, I think what hurts my parents the most is probably the fact that they didn't ruin anything, that we still had a beautiful day, that we're still married, still happy, still doing great, and that all their scheming didn't matter. They spent months trying to take control. They threw money at it thinking they could buy centerpieces and obedience. They tried to make my wedding a stage for Hannah. And when we didn't let them, they lost their minds. And what did they get for all that effort? Nothing. No spotlight, no big reveal, no iconic sister moment. Just a really expensive reminder that they don't get to control me anymore. It sounds harsh, but I don't feel bad, not even a little, because I gave them chances. I said no politely. I tried to set boundaries. I offered a compromise. And they threw it all back in my face. So yeah, if they're upset, that's on them. They paid for a wedding. They just didn't realize it was mine. And no, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad that I lied to them about considering their idea. I don't feel bad that I let them spend all that money. I don't feel bad that my sister got publicly embarrassed by her own ego because I tried to tell them. I said no. I set the boundary. I gave them a chance to act normal. They just didn't take it. Matt says he's proud of me, not just for standing up to them, but for staying calm when everything was so freaking chaotic. Sometimes I think about whether I'll ever reconnect with my parents or my sister. And honestly, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not waiting for an apology. I don't expect one. I think some people just live in their own little world where they're always right and everyone else is just furniture. And I'm done rearranging myself to fit in their weird little fantasy. My life is calmer now. My friends are real ones. My in-laws treat me like an actual person, not a background character in my sister's story. And Matt, he's just as solid as ever. Every time something reminds me of my parents' nonsense, he says, "Remember when they tried to give your sister a wedding at your wedding and ended up just bankrolling yours?" I laugh every single time. So yeah, that's the story of how my parents tried to turn my wedding into a sister bonding stunt and how my husband and I quietly turned it around and got a dream wedding out of their mess. Wouldn't change a thing.